Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club Kids Edition. Hello, kids. Lovely to see y'all, or not see you. You know what I mean. This is the October book, and the book is LIGHTFALL. LIGHTFALL. This is a fantastic book, and it is, and we're lucky to have with us, by Tim Probert, who is right there. Hello, Tim. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Awesome. Great book. I love this book. This was so much fun. So, when did you first start doing comics?
This is my first published comic. So this is, recently.
Yeah.
Besides that, I had been doing like smaller comics and like little drawings for myself for going back years. Like probably back to high school, I would do like little strips for myself and like little silly things. But I never really thought it was something that I would go into. Not because I didn't want to, I thought it seemed like such a hard industry to get into and such a hard medium to break through. So I kind of put it away. And then with this project, it had gone through some different phases of being, it started as maybe an animated project and kind of went through some different things. And then when it came back to being a graphic novel, it was just very, very exciting. And I was like, oh yeah, let's do some comics.
Nice. You were illustrating short prose stories, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was. I was doing a lot of middle grade novels. Yeah. So yeah, like middle grade chapter
illustrations and
yeah. So even that like helped make the jump into such a big comic easier, because for those I was doing like full color covers and then 40 to 60 interior illustrations.
Right.
So it was sort of like a nice stepping stone into doing a bigger comic.
I imagine that. And I don't really know, because animation is not a thing that I study the way that I study comics. But I imagine that you probably aren't moving the camera as much in animation as you are in a graphic novel, right? Because that's jarring when you watch it. Is that do I have that more or less right?
Yeah. There's definitely things that carry over. And I think from years of storyboarding, like I think I ended up drawing in kind of a film sort of way a lot of the time. But the graphic novel is a lot more freeing with stuff like the camera and continuity and cutting. Like in animation, you might like have to show a lot more of something happening, whereas in a comic, you might be able to get it across in a single panel.
Yeah.
Which is, again, I think that was like early on, I would overdraw and I would draw them walking across an entire room, and I'm like, wait, I don't need a page of them.
Right. No.
Getting to the door.
Very, very much so. I mean, I use this as my go-to example all the time. But to me, comics are Lucy and Charlie Brown in the football, and she's holding it, and he's running, and he's flying through the air. And at no point do you see her yanking the football away. You just know that it happened.
Right.
That's the magic of comics. That's the beauty of comics, is that you don't need to show the sequence of things happening, because the audience can receive that without you being that explicit. Yeah,
definitely.
Only because you're sitting in your studio. Do you have an example handy that you could show us a page?
Of a page? Yeah. I have a whole binder right here.
Neat. We always like seeing stuff.
I know, it's the whole book.
Wow.
Yeah, let's take one out.
There we go. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's really nice.
Yeah, so you can see a lot more of the red in the original drawings.
Yeah, and it's got a very different texture than the colored pages, obviously.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it has its own special feel.
Yeah.
I also, when I'm doing it when I'm doing the drawings, I don't do, as you can see, any of the panel lines or balloons or text or anything.
Yeah.
I do all of that in Photoshop later.
Yeah.
Which just, it allows me to be a little bit more flexible with that stuff. So I tend to draw under everything. So like all those balloons are usually on top of like something
Sure.
that I drew. So I know where they're going generally, but like I'll draw a little bit extra in case stuff has to move.
Yeah. Did you hit any problems when you actually started doing the lettering? Like, oh no, I didn't leave myself quite enough room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like change the drawing or change the line. But
yeah. And what did you usually do?
I would try to change the lines. I found that when I was writing, I would overwrite in the script.
Yeah.
So like it'd have these like streams of dialogue that, you know, on a script page, you're like, oh, it looks great. And it doesn't seem like that long of a line, but then you put it in a balloon and the balloon's like gigantic. And like, they don't need, is there a simpler way to say this or a way that's a little more concise? So it tended to be that, unless, you know, it was something that had to be really long, and then I would just figure it out.
It's interesting because comics really are, in a lot of ways, a process of reduction and a process of simplification. Not to make things simple, but to get it down to the most iconic, clearest way to communicate an idea.
Yeah, totally. And I really enjoyed that, you know, and it was kind of nice to start with more than I needed and then edit it down to exactly what it needed to be, as opposed to trying to, you know, do it the opposite way.